Hey guys, it's me, Halloween Dan. Today I'm going to be making some things again. It's my new favourite obsession. So I've got a couple more things I want to add into my horn that I thought would really go along with all the other things I've been making. Alright, my Grim Reaper didn't work out quite how I wanted him to work out. But I did think there's one other thing I want to make with my skeleton guy, but we'll do that in another episode. And then I have a couple more pieces of foam, and I think I know what I want to do with them. So follow me on this little journey. So I've got two more pieces of insulation foam. I've already taken off the foil, so they're back to the surface you can really attack and have a go at. And I thought I want to add something. I don't want to make any more gravestones. I've done two, that's enough for now, and I've got lots of other cheaper ones. So what else can I do with these two pieces of foam? Originally I'd had this sort of vague idea of making some kind of a fountain head, but nah, do you know what? Forget that. I think what I'd rather do is I'd use these two pieces of foam sparingly, there's my pumpkin, to make a crypt. A very basic small crypt, more a lay down on the floor kind of a crypt, quite small, but with a purpose. So last year I had my banjo skeletons, my dueling banjo skeletons from Costco. I can't wait to get them back out this year. But one of the problems was they sit down and I didn't really have anything for them to sit on. It was kind of annoying. I had to put out two little kiddies chairs and it just didn't look very Halloweeny. So what I thought I might do with the piece of foam this year is, because I want to get this foam to go as far as I can go with it, I thought maybe if I could try and cut it down the middle, make this a bit thinner, maybe about 1 inch instead of 2 inch, then what I could do is make a small crypt that the skeletons could sit on, and it would obviously go with the graveyard theme that I like to go for. I'd also like to use some of the scraps and the pieces that I'm using to sort of improve upon the pillars that I'm making. So here you can just see that I've cut the boards in half. They're very rough, as you can see, and this does cause me a problem later when I'm painting, but I've measured out some sizes for the base of the tomb, and also this part here is going to be the top. And at this point I'm just trying to work out the best way of putting it all together, because the only thing with cutting the foam this thin is it makes it less strong. Now here I am cutting the pieces up, ready to put together. Here I'm about to use my trusty Gorilla Glue, toothpicks and water, which when put on the edges of these bits of foam expands. The water helps the glue to expand, and it does a really good job of sticking this stuff together, even with its uneven surfaces. Like with my tombstones, once you've applied the glue in the water, these toothpicks act really well at just holding it together, giving it a bit more rigidity whilst you're waiting for the glue to go off, and actually they hold it quite strong even once the glue has gone off, so they're a really good idea. So this is what it looked like once it had all got put together. It was a bit rough and ready and a few gaps here and there, but it wasn't too bad and it was something I could work with, so I decided to leave it as was. While my crypt dries, I thought I'd move on to my plinths. So these are the plinths I made last year. They're very, very basic, made out of cardboard. You can see the hole in the top where the lights were sat. And they served their purpose last year. I mean, they are a complete and utter state now, they're the right mess. But do you know what? I thought I can use these to form the foundation of what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the techniques that I have used when making my gravestones and things. And if I add some extra details and maybe add like a plinth on the top of foam, these might actually start to look pretty damn good. So using the same process I did with the tombstones, I've shaped and roughed up two pieces of foam at the top, two smaller pieces of foam at the bottom, and I will now just let them dry. I put Gorilla Glue and toothpicks into the foam through the cardboard, glued them into place. Hopefully they set, and they're set pretty strong. Yes, they still look incredibly rubbish and incredibly rough. As you can see, they're now upside down compared to what they were last year. But I'm hoping, once dry, and with a few coats of my gravelly, sandy grey paint, and then the same sort of applications of acrylic paint dripped down and stuff, we should get a nice effect. So it's going a little bit dark, but thought I'd show you where we're up to with these things now. So as you can see, I've got a very rough looking crypt kind of a tomb. This is going to be for my banjo skeletons to sit on. I've just roughed up the edges like I did with my gravestones, made a few holes and cracks. These sort of lines actually were from when I sawed the two halves of the foam in half. So you kind of get this kind of cool, looks like a piece of really kind of natural stone that hasn't been completely sort of planed down, if you like. I thought I'd put a few holes here and there in some of the cracks, some of the bigger cracks, and now we're just kind of waiting for this to dry. Here's one of the two pillars that I did as well, so you can still kind of tell that it's made out of cardboard. They've got a foam topper and a foam bottom, roughed up and painted. You got the kind of sill, they've got the same sort of stone effect going on with the top. They need a bit of a second coat. I'm pretty sure both are going to need a second coat, but they look kind of cool. So this is me just adding some watered down acrylic paint to the surface of the crypt. I'm doing this in the same way I did it to my tombstones originally. It works quite well, but obviously the crypt is laid down, so it does give a very different effect once it's dried. It collects in different places rather than running down the surface in the same way it does with the tombstones. So it's been a few days since I last updated about these. It's taking me longer than I expected to do these. They're actually harder to paint than I thought they would be. I've used the same techniques I used when I was doing my tombstones. It's worked, sort of. It's definitely worked on the foam. It's hard to see in this light, but you can just about make out you've got the stone sort of stippled effect, a mixture of greens and blacks and browns to sort of give it a real stony effect. The cardboard, however, well, you can still kind of tell it's a cardboard box. I mean, you know, you can still see the tape down the middle. The paint doesn't soak into the cardboard the same as it does the foam, so it kind of just drips down the front. You get drip marks everywhere. But you know what? They 100% look better than they did. I've added a few little kind of rubbish details. I've added this M&M for Medway Manor on this pillar. I wanted it to look really rough and broken, and it definitely does that. But it kind of looks a bit pathetic. And on this post, I actually put the name, carved the name. I want to add a few extra details to this yet, but you get the gist. It kind of looks like a piece of roughed up old stone, same as the tops. Generally, they're not looking too bad. They definitely look better in the daylight than this really terrible light I've got on it at the minute. It's really kind of hard to tell. The crypt, however, I'm actually quite pleased with. It's like I say, it's not a very big crypt. It's very rough, and I've written R.I.P. the Rotten Twins on the side, but I'm gonna do that better. I'm gonna paint that in properly and probably add some dates. I'm put it in the middle there like that because I'm thinking I was going to write something on the top of the crypt too, but the more I thought about it, the banjo skeletons are going to be sat on this. That's the whole purpose of this crypt. So once they're sat on it, you're not going to see an awful lot of these details, and you're not going to see, if I put a load of writing on the top, you're not going to see it because the skeleton's going to be sat on it. So what's really the point in doing that? I might as well just put a small bit of writing there in the middle, and then I'm going to put lights inside this, so the holes that I've made and the gaps that I've left along the seams and the holes like there in the big crack, they'll light up. You will see lights coming out from these holes and gaps. I'm quite happy with the effect I've got on this one. Like I say, it definitely looks like a piece of unsanded down piece of stone, sort of rough and kind of coarse and broken and obviously cracked. I've cut some, the cracks I'm quite happy with. And I'm quite happy with the general look of it. I even like the way it sags in the middle. It is supported actually beneath, believe it or not. but because the foam was quite thin, it's kind of naturally sagged when I was painting it. And I kind of quite like that. It kind of looks like it's been sat for a very long time, and it's cracked and broken, and it's beginning to collapse a little bit. I did think with them being cardboard, you'd think they weren't overly weatherproof, and they're not 100% weatherproof, it has to be said. They don't like hours and hours of rain being rained on them. But I have to say, they stood up to the rigours of last year, and it rained a lot last year, and they're still pretty solid. We'll see what these bad boys look like once I've got the flicker flame lights on top. So, final update on my pillars. My crypt is still outside underneath that piece of tarpaulin, waiting to have some better lettering put on it. I will do that in the run up to Halloween, but I'm not going to do that just yet. These are my pillars. This was the look I was going for. They still need some finishing touches too. You'll notice I've removed the sign, which is why this looks a bit rubbish here. These need painting a bit darker. I want them to be black. The sign is over here. I've just painted it a bit to make it stand out, the lettering, give it that bit more detail. Overall, the overall look that I wanted to achieve is there. They do look very pillar-like. Yes, they're still cardboard boxes, but they don't look too bad. The flames on the top look awesome. I'm really, really happy with those. You'll notice they're being propped up by chairs at the moment. That's because I made a big mistake and I left them out in torrential rain, like really heavy torrential rain. So because they are cardboard boxes, they didn't really like it, and you'll notice they're starting to collapse a tiny little bit, and there's a few areas where they need touch-ups. Yeah, that was a bit stupid. I don't know why I did that. But I will let them dry out, and hopefully by Halloween they can stand up on their own. And then I've just got to figure out a way of really fixing these things down, because now they've got this little bit of added weight on the top. They will quite easily fall over. So I will have to figure that out. But it will come together, I'm 100% sure. As you can see, it's my usual technique of being a bit rough and ready. But, you know, I suppose that's my look. Rough and ready. So thank you for watching, guys. I hope at least some of this has been vaguely interesting to watch. I know it's not really a tutorial or anything like that, because I'm sure many of you could do a far better job than this. I just wanted to kind of let you in on what I was doing, on the aesthetic I was going for. Rough and ready is apparently the aesthetic. You know, it's good. I'm quite happy with the way they look. They could be better. They could look... I could have done better, but I'm quite happy with them. I think they'll go in my horn very nicely, and hopefully by Halloween it'll have all come together and we'll all have something. I'll have new animatronics and all kinds of things I'm very excited to see coming out as well, alongside these sorts of things that I've made, and it'll all look great. Thank you so much for watching. Please give us a like and subscribe if you can, and I'll see you next time. Keep it spooky. Bye.